It's different though. I think this is an interesting because we talk about this in a lot of sports. Like LeBron is just he's a force physically. You didn't have that in the 60s and the 70s. They weren't as physical, plus being as skilled. But you know what's the one sport? You know what's the one sport where I don't think it matters? Is boxing. I don't think any boxers now, I don't care how, because those guys trained to be physical back then. They were running, they were doing the exercises. I don't think boxers now are as good as boxers in the past. And that's the only sport where I would say that definitively. I think boxers now would get cleaned up by boxers in the past.
I agree. What about what's his name? Tyson Fury. You think he could hang?
Yeah, he would get George Foreman would destroy his soul.
Oh, yeah. They had like the same build, right?
George Foreman would have destroyed his soul. A lot of those boxers would. I mean, just from the 70s, they would have. Now, let alone the 60s and the 50s and the 40s. Those 40s boxers were nasty. It wasn't like Sugar Ray Robinson. When you see him beating up on a white guy, that white guy was a poor Jewish guy that like migrated over there and fought for his life. He wasn't like a bum. That dude was fighting for his life. Yeah. Those guys were tough. And I think there was a lot of good Jewish boxers back in the day and Italian ones, but those guys were tough. They weren't like
people have gotten out of it though. Like heavyweight used to reign supreme. Now you have what Joshua and I mean he got beaten by like Butterbean. What's his name? Ruiz.
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember that?
He's no good. He's overrated. Anthony Joshua. He's the most overrated boxer he's one of the most overrated boxers I've ever seen. But the Englishmen, they support their boxers so fervently that they don't care who it is. Whoever it is, he's the best. And they just support him to the end. And he's the best. But that's what the English do with their boxers. So that's why Anthony Joshua is so popular. And same with really Tyson Fury for that matter. Yeah. Even though he's Irish, but he's from there. He's from the UK. So they support him so much.
That's dope, man. That's dope.
But those guys aren't as good as the ones the generational from back in America in the 20th century. They weren't as good.
Better than Mayweather, man.